more highs, more lows, but depending on the kind you mean, you might get an entirely different story to my August. Last week I already talked on the second channel a little bit about some weird weather stuff that's been going on in my area lately, so I'll spare you the details, but let's just say that July was a hugely uncomfortable month temperature-wise, in the house specifically. You know, it didn't get so much as super hot outside, and especially not during the days or anything. It's just that the nights didn't get as cool as they were supposed to, like 10 or 15 degrees above average. And in a town that doesn't really have AC, because it doesn't need AC, because nighttime is a natural form of it, you know, it became a problem because, again, the nighttime temperatures were not getting down to what they were supposed to be. So, when it came to gearing up a bit and bulk producing July content, like I said I was planning to do in the last one of these State of Affairs, it didn't really happen quite the way that I planned because I had to, you know, only really do a couple videos at a time, basically. I could only really justify or get away with doing a couple videos at a time every handful of days because that's all that I could justify warming the house an extra amount, right? So what that means, even worse, is that August is going to be even worse on that front because a huge chunk of my second channel content specifically had to be postponed until September, or perhaps until nighttime temperatures moderate a little bit, or, you know, preferably normalize again. Even so, we are trucking right along. The next State of Affairs you'll see will be even more impacted on the side of things with, you know, the actual channel updates, right? But even July was a bit slower than I'd have liked in some ways. Let's just talk about all of that now. We'll start off like normal with last month's videos and highlights. I did do the normal amount of update videos in July, so that was 3 of them. 1 State of Affairs plus 2 Fortnights on the Isle, so nothing new to talk about there. But independent channel content over the month was 9 videos on the main channel, so a couple videos down because I didn't do bonus book binge episodes on Sundays. I'm probably going to be discontinuing that for the, you know, foreseeable future because I've kind of started to run out of ideas. It's becoming a problem. And then on the second channel, I did 6 videos plus 4 live streams on top of that. I can't remember how many videos I did last month. I think 8 videos on the second channel, and I think that might have even been down compared to prior months. So things are slowing down a little bit, and they're going to slow down a lot more even this month, which is not fantastic, but it is the way things go. I also did not post anything on the third channel, if it's worth noting. As for the actual highlights, you know, the videos that I'm a little bit happier about or which performed a little bit better on the main channel, I did a 1-star ratings of my newest favorite books to go along with my updated Casey canon and had a lot of fun with that as per usual. One of those got me real tilted. I did a short video after that where I don't even remember how short it was, but I talked about my favorite things of the year so far between books, games, films, all of that kind of stuff. That was a fun time. One of my better performing book reviews of the year so far, The Heart of the Naga by Lee Youngdo. I enjoyed reviewing that this month. I also did a semi-special episode for episode 333 of the Book Binge, talking about some books, series, and authors that I want to read in the future. And then I did what is probably my biggest physical book haul of the channel up to this point in July as well. On the second channel, I did a live stream series for The Last of Us and got through a few of those, finished and played through the whole game. That was a lot of fun for me. My movie review of Obsession was definitely my best performing video across that time. And maybe the video that I had the most fun with was reviewing The Odyssey immediately after that came out, although that one did not perform well at all for very strange reasons, and we'll talk a slight bit more about that here in just a bit because we're moving into the channel statistics. On the main channel, we had a little bit of a downturn in all of the different categories, but not by much. It was very much a very comparable month July was to June. Considering that June was a big jump from May, I'm pretty happy about the way things ended up turning out. Over 2,300 views in July. That was only down about 8%, down only about 11%, 242 watch hours. So both of those hit the 2,000 views and 200 watch hour threshold for me to be, you know, far more than satisfied. So they managed to do that. And then I had a 40,500 impressions, which is down a little bit more comparative to the other two things. But what that means is that my click-through rate and even my watch time were, relatively speaking, slightly better than they were in June, which is not a bad thing at all. I also had a second month in a row of a net gain of 14 subscribers on the main channel, which put my total at 1,187 as of the very end of the month. Moving into August, that number may or may not be different at this video's release. That is what I ended the month at, so we're very close to 1,200. Might even be able to hit that by September if this, net gain of the last couple months continues, right? The second channel is where things are a little bit strange because things are down a lot, and although I can explain that a little bit, they're down more than I think they should be, quote unquote, because the algorithm is very strange. I got 222 views on the second channel. That was down 77%. It was a very big drop off. And there were a couple videos that I did, a couple of my movie reviews in particular, like the Odyssey review, which was a main factor of my surprise here because the Odyssey video did not do anything. It just did not get pushed in the algorithm. We'll talk about that again here in just a second. I got 33.1 watch hours, so down 59%, so not quite as relatively down of a turn there. That means that the people were watching, as long or longer than they were last month. But the real killer is the impressions. 6,400 impressions on the second channel. I think that's the fewest impressions that I've had since I've been posting regularly there for the last 2 years, down 92%. That is a huge drop off in impressions. And, kind of like what I was saying with the Odyssey review, all of my other videos did the same thing, where it's pretty common on my second channel even for the first 2 or 3 days of a video's lifespan to kind of get, not that many impressions, maybe a few hundred or something like that, and then suddenly spike with another 10,000 impressions and they get another extra 100 views or something in a week because of that. And that's always really cool. I haven't come to take it for granted per se, but when I say that that's happened on every movie review that I've done this year prior to this month, that I don't think that's a lie. I think that's actually a pretty accurate statement. There might be a couple where that's less true, but that's a pretty reasonable, way of putting how things tend to go, at least with the movie reviews. And this month, because movie reviews were, pretty common this month, that didn't happen with really any of them. Which review was it? The Obsession review did a little bit better than the others, but not as well as any of the other reviews this year. And then the Odyssey one was the one that really surprised me. I did that video opening weekend of the movie, and that video has, if you can guess it, a few hundred impressions. It only got 20 impressions in the first 3 days, and then when it did get a little bit more, it's only gotten a couple hundred extra since then, which is very abnormal, not just for movie reviews, but for a movie as big and as much in the discourse as that is. Maybe I just don't understand the algorithm anymore or something. I'm just saying that 92% down on the impression count is very, very strange. But as far as the subscribers go on the second channel, net gain of 0. So it's not down, so that's not a bad thing. It's just first time that I haven't had a net gain in a little while over there either, and I think a lot of that's just because there wasn't really much of anybody watching. I did actually gain 3 subscribers, to be fair. I just also lost 3 subscribers over the month for reasons that I can't determine just based off of what they clicked. They didn't unsubscribe off of any new videos that I could see, so not sure. But that is what the second channel is doing. It's still chugging along decently. It's just much bigger downturn than I would have expected. I expected things to be down this month for obvious reasons. I posted less videos, but that decline was a little bit more stark than I expected, we shall say. But we're going to move on to last month's writing, and there are somewhat more, I'm not going to say more interesting things to say about this, but I have a couple of notes here in the fiction side of things to start off. I did actually sort of write, technically speaking, about 1,000 words in July, and weirdly enough, 400 of those words were for the Reign of Ash. This is the first time that I've had a real update about the Reign of Ash in a long time. Now, that's not because I have gone back to start writing more in my outlines for that or anything of that sort. It was more so that I had a very specific world building element that I wasn't sure what I was doing with, and then all of a sudden, randomly on was it Saturday? It might have even been Sunday. I just kind of had an epiphany. It was like, wait a minute, what if I explore this idea with regards to the quote unquote theology of this world, and then it can work in this way and this way. And so I just, wrote a note for myself on how to make that world building kind of work. So is that 400 words really writing for the Reign of Ash? It's more so just random world building stuff, but it's a very important world building element that I've honestly been really struggling on how to, really bring out as I've thought about the series. And back when I was doing a lot more work on the Reign of Ash a couple of years ago, I wasn't sure how to really develop this. Now I think I actually have a way to develop it in a way that is natural to me and also feels true to the world, without being, intrinsically analogous to anything. So that's very exciting. Like I said, they're not really words for the series per se, but they're world building and important world building. So that's a good thing. And then the other, nearly 600 words that I wrote, about 584, was for another random thing. I've had a couple different personal writing things that I've had going on, like that story that I think the working title is A Wish Come True that I talked about last month. I didn't do any other writing or rewriting for that this month because I've had a lot of other stuff going on, and it's also been really hot in the house, and so my brain just hasn't been working. I've been fighting for my life to do my real job, let alone anything else for the most part this month. But I did at one point have another similar thing where that short story that I wrote early in the year, Every Breath a Burden, I have like a sort of companion piece to that I'm working on. I mean, A Wish Come True is a companion piece to that, but this other thing that I wrote nearly 600 words for was kind of similar, where I just had like a monologue that was going on in my head that I couldn't get out of it, and so I just wrote that monologue down one night and expanded a little bit. I haven't expanded it into a full scene like I did for A Breath of Burden yet, or Every Breath of Burden yet, but it's some words that I got written, and maybe stuff that I'll utilize or repurpose elsewhere. Maybe it'll be its own scene that I do, an independent video for, like Every Breath of Burden. I'm not entirely sure, but it's a little bit of writing that I did this month, so that's cool. As far as the blogs and the reviews and stuff like that go, this is like really complicated topic because I wrote about 1,550 words officially, even though I've technically written plenty more than that, and that is because as of the last couple months I just haven't really been doing review writing, and I've spent a lot of, when it comes to actually writing reviews of books that I finish on Goodreads or Letterboxd or anything like that, I've just done like a couple paragraphs of like a brief review, just talking very shortly about my experience with the movie, but not like reviewing it in the way that I tend to go deeper on and that I enjoy doing so much. So I've had plenty of those types of things that I've written, and therefore I've written several hundred, maybe even a couple thousand words between all of the different things that way, but those aren't like dedicated reviews. So I don't have any new words in book reviews, technically speaking, on this front because of that, so nothing new there. I also didn't technically write anything new for games this month in that way. All of those 1,550 words were in the film side of things because I did do a review of Spider-Man Brand New Day that I posted just this past Monday on the second channel, and, writing that review came very naturally for me, and so, that's kind of revitalizing the desire to do the review writing again because the last couple months I just haven't really felt it. Maybe this will help things a little bit, but that was the only review that I wrote there, and then I haven't written anything else on the music side of things or miscellaneous essays or anything like that I've had ideas for. So not really much to talk about there. It's just the fact that I have 32 different reviews or essays or something like that I want to write that are waiting at this point. And if you consider my average length for any of these reviews or anything like that is somewhere in the 1,200 word range, that is a lot of words, but there's a lot of stuff waiting for my attention on that side of things, including fiction stuff, including real life work, including getting videos and stuff prepared. It's crazy. I do too much. I expect too much of myself. It's kind of a problem sometimes, but this month I'm going to try to take it easy. I'm going to try not to beat myself up too much over that fact, kind of like I opened this video with, on account of recent weather happenings, this month has a slower release schedule with videos and whatnot, especially on the second channel. In the meantime, I'll be adjusting, to working with an AC in the house, which again, is such a crazy concept that I'm getting an AC in this house. It's such a laughable idea. But anyway, alongside dealing with that and figuring out what the actual setup is going to be, because I have so much stuff going on in my office. I can't have the AC plugged in here, so we're figuring out something that we're going to be able to do with the house with that in context. But alongside figuring out what my actual, workload is going to be like with the AC, and trying to run that as little as possible, quite frankly. But, alongside that, I think I will primarily be working this month to just kind of catch up on some of these things that have been delayed for so long. Review writing is something that I've been really neglecting since March or something like that, and I do feel a little bad about it, but it's also the fact that I just kind of miss writing in general, in any way, shape, or form. I haven't done a bit of that in a little bit as well, so I think I'm going to try to catch up on some of that stuff. I have some of those videos that were going to come this month, but now are probably going to come in September, that are gaming-related reviews, and those reviews I more or less try to only have scripted rather than not scripted, because I just kind of prefer that for that series. I mean, I prefer that for Movie Magic as well, but I've done plenty of unscripted Movie Magic videos, so who knows? That preference could change, but because I have some gaming videos that I want to do that I want to be scripted, and because I was able to write that Spider-Man review scripted and it came really naturally, I didn't feel like I was forcing that to any degree like I have for other reviews. So I think that I'm getting a little bit back into the flow, so maybe that will help things out. And I think that that's going to be a big part of my August. Basically, I think I'm going to be doing a ton of reading. If you want more information on that, you can check out yesterday's video on the main channel. And then I'm going to do a lot of writing if I can manage it as well. So like I said, check out yesterday's video for detailed updates on the reading. And keep an eye on the third channel as well for potential fiction and essay stuff eventually. If I do write some more of that stuff, we'll see. And also where I did post Every Breath of Burden a few months ago. If you want to check that out, I recommend it. It's maybe my favorite thing that I've ever made. So that's all for this month. Hope you all have a good one. Thank you for watching this video if you did. Hope everybody else's August is more temperate than mine is looking like it's going to be. Hope everybody's July was more temperate than mine was, because, yeah, that was a little bit strange. But all of that being said, for now, I've been your host, King Crusoe. You can call me KC, and I hope to see you guys in the next video, whatever that may be.